The judge is moving forward. The train has left the station and a date has officially been set. So lawyer up, Prince Andrew, because according to the New York Post, the docket has your case on for September 13th, and there is no dodging a New York judge. He is facing a lawsuit alleging sexual abuse, and the strategy may have been to stay in the comfy confines of his own side of the Atlantic, but like I said, you can only obfuscate for so long. And then there's the whole Scotland Yard business. According to London's top police official today, Scotland Yard is reviewing all of the files on the Duke of York. And they say they're willing to work with agencies overseas, but they will not say that they're opening an investigation, very clearly saying it's not that. We're just having a look-see for the third time. Joining us tonight is Royal Watcher Hilary Fordich, and also with us is attorney Jim Moret, who's the chief correspondent for Inside Edition. Welcome to both of you. Jim, as the lawyer on this panel, I'm going to ask you, how serious is it that we now have an official date, and exactly how is the palace going to maneuver this?
Well, that's an interesting. You have to keep in mind, and the way you've been talking about this, rightly so, is that these are criminal acts in most people's minds. This is a civil case. This is not a criminal case. This is a civil case brought under a fairly recent New York law that affords alleged victims of sexual abuse a limited period of time to file a civil case. The time period actually was supposed to run out on August 14th. It was extended because of COVID. The issue is going to be to serve Prince Andrew. That's not easily taken. Also, if he disobeys a court ruling, it's not an extradition offense, but this is perceived as a very serious problem for the royal family, certainly to their image, certainly toward Prince Andrew, who stepped back from all of his royal duties a couple of years ago. So he's not going to be able to avoid a judgment in this case. Evidence will be presented. This case will be heard. The best thing he could do would be to settle it.
Yeah, and if you don't show, you lose. Judgment is entered against you. That's just the way it works here. So, I mean, you can, avoid it and pretend it's not happening and not show up, but then you are officially, you've got that albatross around your neck. Hilary, Jim just said the issue of serving the prince is one that actually is being touched upon by this New York judge. How, as a royal watcher, how does one serve a royal with a summons?
Well, rather difficultly. Pleasure to be back with you, Ashley. That's not an easy feat at all. And of course, one of the issues also is, will Prince Andrew be granted sovereign immunity? Obviously, that's extended to heads of state, and there are obviously judicial agreements between both the UK and the US, but I don't believe it extends to Prince Andrew. Again, I'm not a lawyer, but that has been one of the issues that's raised, and it is very difficult to serve a royal. That court date that you mentioned on September 19th, it's a conference call actually at 4 p.m. So the question is, will he and his attorneys be on that call? One of the saddest points about this case, I think, is that obviously, he could have settled this because Godfrey's attorney has said many times that they have been stonewalled by Prince Andrew. So perhaps it's his legal advice as well. It's the public court of opinion that is proving him guilty because this has become so public. He could have settled this. Of course, they have advised him against this because they thought that that would be some sort of admission of guilt. But this could have all been avoided. Very sad that it wasn't, for the royal family, particularly the Queen at 95, having to deal with this now. And the victims as well.
The sovereign immunity part is a sticky wicket, and pardon my nomenclature, but Jim Moret, I'm not going to presume for a moment in law school that you were taught about sovereign immunity, and this is an unusual circumstance. Again, it is civil, but I will say this, that the chief of Scotland Yard, she is the chief of the London Metropolitan Police. Her name is Cressida Dick. She said these words, and I think they're important at face value. We will give them, meaning the Americans, every assistance if they ask us for anything within the law, obviously. The within the law, obviously, was like the little caveat there that I thought maybe she's giving herself wiggle room to, enter into the diplomatic immunity part.
Well, she also said no one is above the law, which I think is a very significant statement. And that's one that has Prince Charles concerned that this, I think he's quoted as saying this is an unsolvable problem for the monarchy, certainly for Andrew. I don't know that this would be an area for sovereign immunity. As we were talking about earlier, it is a civil case. The worst thing that will happen is Prince Andrew will lose not only in the court of public opinion, but also monetary damages. There's no threat to his personal freedom. And by saying no one is above the law, I don't think that it would hold water on either side of the Atlantic if he were simply able to avoid any penalty based upon his unwillingness to cooperate. And based upon this investigation, which has been going on for a long time, the former U.S. attorney from the District of New York, Southern District, said that Prince Andrew has afforded them absolutely zero cooperation, none whatsoever. So he could have settled this. He has chosen not to. He hasn't commented. He's just done a horrible job, frankly, from a PR standpoint, if not from an ethical and a moral standpoint.
I look at these fancy pictures. I don't know why I'm so transfixed by them all the time. I just find them so special and in a weird, honorable kind of way. And yet every one of these royals has, secrets and scandals and affairs, and, some of them lop off their wives' heads. And I think, this has been going on and on for hundreds of years. It's just that the media has cameras and investigative reporters, and we can see emails and all the rest now, so they're kind of getting caught in all the things that they may have always done. But Hillary, we were talking last night about what the reception must have been like for Andrew to show up at Balmoral Castle, where the Queen has, the annual summer, I like to call it the barbecue. It's a party. But I think it's not as warm and fuzzy as maybe people thought it might be, that he might find support in his mother and his brother. What's the actual situation among the family right now?
Well, I also don't think that every single royal has had scandalous affairs throughout the centuries. I think there have been some, obviously, that have, just like we've had U.S. presidents that were caught climbing over the fence going back into the White House by the Secret Service, but the public didn't know it. I think you're totally and utterly right, though, that it's the media today, that this is a media frenzy. A couple of things there. We now know that Prince Andrew was summoned to Balmoral, not just a casual visit. And Prince Charles has been heading up there also to discuss what they're considering, the sort of the panic discussions. But I think a lot of this has come down to not only, yes, it's ethically and morally absolutely reprehensible that he has behaved the way that he has, and also the legal advice, because all he had to do was to deal with this instead of stonewalling the attorneys. But up at Balmoral, it is not the same atmosphere that it has been in the past whatsoever. And as we know, Sarah Ferguson is there. She's had to leave previously. It's actually thought that she has been somewhat of a peacemaker because she is actually rather liked by the Queen, and the Queen has to deal with this. I think that it's a great, obviously, traumatic time for the Queen because, like anybody, this is her own son, and yet she has her duty to protect the crown and what they refer to as the firm. I think the number one thing here is duty, and Prince Andrew has not done his duty, and he's sworn to do his duty. That's his life's mission, all of the royals, and he has failed to do his duty.
And then there is this other report, and Jim, I'm going to get you to weigh in on this because, when it rains, it pours, and, people like to look at patterns and think, well, okay, where there's smoke, there's fire, and where there's a pattern, there's a bonfire. There is a woman by the name of Joanna, I think it's Sjoberg. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right. It's S-J-O-B-R-B-E-R-G, so Sjoberg, I'll say Sjoberg. She was Jeffrey Epstein's personal assistant, and she was actually named in some documents when Virginia Giuffre sued Ghislaine Maxwell for defamation for saying that Virginia was a liar. That woman, Joanna Sjoberg's name came up in the documents. And the description of the events surrounding her was that Prince Andrew had his hands on a puppet on some boobs involving, and this is me paraphrasing, involving Ms. Sjoberg, and that this would be possibly another civil suit that's going to drop in the near future. Does that spell any different for the prince if there are two of these suits instead of just one?
Well, there doesn't even need to be two suits, frankly. I mean, unless a suit is filed under this New York law, because you have to remember there's a statute of limitations on these events. And this particular case moved forward because of this New York law, which incidentally was signed by Andrew Cuomo in 2019, which is kind of ironic when you think about it. But this woman could be called as a witness in this case. And that's what you don't want. You don't want witness after witness after witness, and Ghislaine Maxwell could be called as a witness. So you may hear these voices, even if they're not filing separate suits. And that is the problem for Prince Andrew. I think Hillary's right. All he had to do was deal with it. It's bad enough that he got into this mess, but it's even worse in the way that he's failed to deal with it.
You know, Jim, I think sadly for the royal family, I'm going to be getting you back. And Hillary, sadly for them, I think you've got to come back too, because, you know, it's the law and it's the
by
whole...
the way.
Oh, okay, say it quickly. Who is it?
Well, no, quickly, there's another witness, a Miss Walker. She actually was a witness to Prince Andrew being with Virginia Giuffre at the Tramp nightclub in London, and she's already borne witness to that. So there's already somebody else.
The Tramp nightclub where the sweaty dancing went on? Is that the incident?
Yes, a Miss Walker.
You like this case, don't you, Ashley?
You are coming back tomorrow. Well, I'll tell you why as I go to tease here, but I'll tell you why, because I covered Epstein forever, and then to have the prince involved, and then Ghislaine Maxwell, and it just doesn't end. So it's a lot. My head explodes. But Jim, thank you so much. And also Hillary, thank you for that last little nugget. You'll come back, I hope, both of you.
Pleasure.
Happy to.